you know, this house is old. 1978, man. 1978. And there's a lot of what's the most awesome part about this neighborhood are actually the people. The people are so like generous and kind and giving, and it's pretty amazing. I honestly I've never been to a neighborhood like this. So like every neighbor, basically there's big dinners, lunches, breakfast. We've already been to like 6 or 7 events since we've been here. It's very normal. Everybody just hangs out. Yeah. You guys will see. I told you, come visit. You guys know that. Anytime you're around here, you can come stay with us. We'll have a good time. I promise I'm not weird. Morning, John. Yeah, man. I I'm really far from being weird, I think. I can be socially awkward just because I'm always thinking about stocks and I have no one to talk to. But right, you guys know how that is. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. We're gonna go to the main screen. There we are right there. All right, so good morning, everybody. Like I said, stay positive. It's a down day, but I want you to just close your eyes and think about a fire sale or a clearance rack. Think about the favorite thing that you like to buy. So when we talk about demand and supply, the best way, in my opinion, is to think about your favorite thing you want to buy, and the charts kind of tell you a story. The candles, the formations, the size of the candles really tell you where people want to buy versus where people want to sell. Okay. And it's just a footprint or a blueprint on a chart. When the market pulls back, we want to understand where that garage sale is. Seriously. And so we just look at the chart, and in my case, we use trendy indicators. Okay. The first thing you're going to see is that price is moving down. Okay. Here, right into what we call the accelerator. All right. A couple things. I'm going to measure the most recent rally, and you can see that. We're going to start here to this pivot, and let's go ahead and do that. I'm not going to use the red candles in this case. I want where the start of the inside and up is. And you can see that prices pull back right into the 50. The 50 happens to be close to the accelerator. It's not the accelerator. And underneath that, you can see that it hit our level to the downside. Now, a lot of times how I like to trade this is by just trading my boxes. Last night's box was broken through. This is a new box, and I was personally stopped out on my MES contracts. Okay, so while I was sleeping, I woke up this morning and I heard. So if any of you guys trade futures, you know where I'm coming from. You hear, your phone wakes you up, ding, ding, ding. And what I'm thinking when I'm taking trades as I'm sleeping is I don't want to hear the ding, ding, ding again. You know what I'm saying? Because then, you wake up a couple times and you think, okay, I have not been stopped out, right? But in this case, I heard ding, 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 like literally just a few seconds later. So I was stopped out underneath. It happened immediately. And so I knew, you know, it didn't work out, and that's okay. All right. So not every time uh, do the boxes work out, but I would say they work out a lot, and you guys know that. That might have been one of the only times I've been stopped out on MES, probably in several months. But it happens. All right. So just want to be very transparent with everyone. In today's new blueprint, as you can see, we're coming in around the 50. Now, I call this the indecision point. The reason why I say that, if you were to take a 0 and a 100 up here, typically when we come into an area or halfway of something, we're kind of exhausted. The bulls are trapped up here. The bears are like, man, I'm still waiting for it to drop more. What's it going to be? And so you find yourself at indecision. All right. Now remember, the golden Fibonacci in this case, because price is moving down, is really the bigger level. Notice that the 618 is in line with my green box here. This green box is coming from these red candles and this move up. Okay, so I would expect to find buyers in here. However, if we do not have buyers, then look for price to move down into these levels I have presented here. 3399, 3390, and 84, and ultimately maybe 59. Now, one key factor I believe when price is moving down, a lot of people have a hard time shorting. All right. Either you have some longs in your portfolio and you just can't get the urge or the nerve to go short while holding something long. A lot of times we call this a hedge. Those hedges can make up for the difference on the losses that you're experiencing. Sometimes people just muck it all up and they can't do any of it right. You know what that feels like. We've all been there before. Okay? So decide which one of those, what is going to be your plan today. Okay? Your plan should be one, just sit and be patient, right? Two, buy the dip. Three, maybe you want to go cash. You got to have an idea what you want to do today. Let me go ahead and show you what my plan is for the day. So because we are on this nice descent down, we have this 9 EMA here on the 2 hour. I can use a 2 or a 4. All right. On the 2 hour, we're coming in right around the 38.2 or the trendy edge up here. And I would expect price to perhaps reject in here. Okay. If it rejects, what you're going to get is a little bit of sideways action. And then it breaks down, and we call this the H pattern. You might think this is funny, but I call it the hope pattern because everybody's hoping that price goes up, but unfortunately, it goes down. H pattern is one to recognize. All right. All right. The next thing is on a 4 hour, the 9 EMA, we're pretty extended. Okay. And I would expect to move back up to at least try to test this at some point. Now, what's interesting about down markets is most times we need a catalyst to help us break through the pockets of supply that are above. Those pockets of supply basically are at or around this trendy edge, this yellow line, this 9 EMA, the line in the sand, and then ultimately 3510. So all of these areas are very difficult to get through. And so on a trending day to the downside, what you'll find is that when price does bounce, it typically bounces into an EMA. The EMA that you're trying to find, okay, depends on you have to toggle through different time frames to find the one that it may be respecting the most. So over here, we've already showed you 2 and 4 hour. Let's go to the 1 hour really fast. And I believe the 1 hour looks really nice, and I think you guys would agree. Notice that every time price comes up, it's having a hard time. Okay? So for right now, on a trending day to the downside, I would be using somewhere between a 30-minute and a 1 hour to give you an idea if this is going to hold or not. Okay? So this is your 1 hour. Let's go ahead and go into 30 minutes. 30 minutes is even tighter. So again, on a trending day, notice that price comes up and every time it rejects. So what do you want to do today? Well, if you want to wait and be patient, I would say 30 minutes to an hour is a good time frame to stay patient because of the fact of this 9 EMA. If at any point we break over, I would give it another 30 minutes for it to test back to see if we can hold a higher high, break out of this, then I'm looking for that move into the 2 and the 4 hour. Okay? If we reject, continue down, again, I'm looking for 34.24, 34.20, 34.14, and so forth. Okay? All right. So that's enough on ES. I just really wanted to go over that today, and then I want to come over here to the SPY. All right, so let's go to the SPY. Let's look at our plan. And this was from our broad market analysis today, is October the 15th. We pushed this out over the weekend and we gapped up and we hit our targets, right? And on the trending notes, we said to take caution. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm coming in today making any money. To be quite honest, I'm already down. So I have long-term shares. Those are all down. Okay. Well, except for Tesla. You know, we expected this to be resistance. It has been, and that's the trendy edge. This pink line here is the trendy edge. We expect resistance. What I'm looking at here on the SPY right now is this daily 9 EMA. All right, so bigger picture today, we are currently at 343.79 by 82. So we are in the yellow. When in the yellow, let it mellow. Okay, just like I said on a bigger picture, we're at the 50. That is an indecision point, or you could call it a neutral point. So really, at the end of the day, folks, on SPY, I really don't want to do anything in this yellow area. So what does today mean? It means most likely I'm just going to sit and stay patient. I went over the portfolio approach, meaning if I have weeklies and I have expirations this week, there are several things I can do. I could take my loss because most likely with the gap down, they're not worth it. Okay. I'm not going to try to salvage the trade because we're on Thursday, folks. Okay. We're on Thursday. Not going to do anything to those. I have to take it on the chin. I have to take the loss. It's what I've already accepted before I took the trade, and I'm okay with that. It sucks, but it happens. But because we identified the trendy edge in the beginning of this week and over the weekend, we knew it would be resistance. And if we were counter trending under there, or counter trading, sorry, then it's smaller allocation. Smaller allocation can add up. All right. So it sounds neat. Hey, I'll just take a smaller allocation on this. Hey, I'll just take a smaller allocation. And after you have 10 to 15 trades, it ends up, being something like a normal trade. So that's where you want to be at if you still continue to want to buy the dip. If you're underneath a level that you hold to be important to you, just understand that the easier trade is above that level. The harder trade is trying to take it underneath a level and it not working out for you. So you use smaller allocation. Again, I like to say the shopping cart, just like when we're shopping, right, in the grocery store. You guys all know if you go in there hungry, you end up paying about $200 more than what you should have. It happens in the market too. You start to say to yourself, I'm going to keep small allocation. It's okay. And then you look and you're like, holy crap, man. My shopping cart has about 4 grand in it. That's what mine has in it today. And when this happens, when you get the bill, you're like, man, that kind of added up. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have not went shopping with a full or with an empty stomach. All right? Yes. And Danny, that is very true. So we don't, I'm just trying to make everybody understand that it's really not that difficult as long as you have a plan. And Danny says having a series of big green days ahead of red day makes losses much easier to take. I 100% agree. Listen, Monday and Tuesday were strong. I made money on Monday and Tuesday. Today is Thursday. I lost a little bit of money yesterday. I should say unrealized. And then I'm going to open up on losses today. Again, unrealized. The weeklies, I pretty much, unless something amazing happens, I expect those not to work out. My main focus today, let's go ahead and go over that, are going to be my swing trades. My swing trades as of right now are Apple. Let's go ahead and go through this. And then over here, I'm going to put in my next swing trade, which is AMD. All right, so here we are. And these are the levels. On Apple and AMD, you can see both. Okay, this is at 118.64. So if you were to, I am here, like on a legend on a map, you are about right here, right around that 9 EMA from yesterday. As far as trending methodology is concerned, all I care about is between the green and the red arrows on a swing trade. Green and red arrows on the swing trade. You can see here we're at 82.87. So if I were to plot that we would be above that red arrow. If I were to plot this, we are above that red arrow. What I care about on the swing trades, these are anywhere from 36 days to 2 weeks out, is that by the end of the week, that means tomorrow on Friday, I need to close above these red arrows. Boom, right there, okay? Same thing, right here. I don't care what happens today. And I know that's really hard for traders to understand, but my methodology helps me to stay in trades is by waiting for the candle to actually close on the week. Okay, especially for swing trades. If I was looking at Monday, Tuesday, I'd be looking at a daily or 4 hour candle or something like that. Okay. All right, so that's Apple and AMD. Let's go over here to Facebook and NIO. Okay, Facebook gave us about 20%, and then obviously it's pulled back quite a bit here. This is a spread. Again, I love spreads during, counter trading, counter trend trading. So again, I knew, we're underneath resistance points, so I'm doing some spreads here. Again, we need to stay above. You can see right here, 266.85. It's also confluent with the 9 EMA on the daily. That's what I'm watching. Okay. We come over here to the weekly. Same thing. Pattern looks really nice. All right. Pattern looks really nice. We got an inside and up. We have ER coming in. I really like Facebook into the earnings. I really like it as long as it holds my levels. And that's all. All right. NIO, great trade from yesterday. What I did here, just to kind of explain, we made money. We hit all our targets. Then we bought some spreads. I made money on the spreads. I closed all the spreads except for one spread. And then I closed the short side and I kept the long side. And then that was also up. Currently, price is up a tad. That means we'll be up again. And far as levels are concerned, needs to hold 25.05 by Friday. All right. So that's those. And let's go over here to OKT. This is a longer one. We trimmed at around 50%. Sorry, Octa. Okay. And then let's go over here to Rocket, RKT. All right, and here we are. Topping wick does show a little bit of selling pressure. Again, we've already trimmed here. But what I would like to see hold is this area here, 225 to 235. I'm looking for 269 to 280. All right, long as this holds. Notice that the 9 EMA will probably come up here a tad. We'll have that confluence on the weekly, and this will be an add for me. Okay. Over here on RKT, it's been neutral. We got 2 inside weeks so far. The bigger move is coming. Inside and up will get us into these targets, or if for some reason we break down below the neutral, then I will not like Rocket. I will get rid of Rocket. All right. So pretty straightforward. All right. All right, so in this environment, there's a lot of fear out there. Would you guys agree? I mean, at least from what they're telling us on the news. There's a lot of fear around the coronavirus, and it's hitting Europe and so forth. So that is going to turn our attention to our focus trades today. So I'm doing these live right here. So we have ZM. All right, let's look at the names that continue to do well under this corona pandemic. All right. So here's DocU, here's ZM. All right, this is our blueprints from yesterday as well. It is right at the ME. All right, and so I love that. This is when I do an edge scanner, I'm looking for this stuff, okay? So at this moment, we do have double inside and up. Usually we get a super powerful move from this. My major pivot for today is going to be the Trendy Edge, and that Trendy Edge is coming in at around 509. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an alert just above, it doesn't matter, 25 cents or so, at or above. And then once it, or if it breaks this, I'm interested in a scalp, and that scalp could turn into a really nice trade. Sometimes I say scalp for a dollar, $2. We did this on Netflix yesterday. We made $3, I believe. Um, And so sometimes, a lot of people are only looking for 50 cents. We can get anywhere from $3 to $20 depending on what we are scalping. All right. So over here on ZM, I have my alert set for at or around 509.26. You can see here it actually closed at 509.25 yesterday. So literally right at the edge. All right. Prices to the upside, what I'd be looking for, 516, and above that 523, and then the ATH around 529. If it breaks down, what you should be looking at is a smaller time frame. We're going to come down here into 4 hour, and you can see here the 4 hour looks pretty nice. See it bumping up against the trendy edge. The edges are resistance when price is underneath. The 4 hour looks pretty nice. As long as we can hold this 4 hour and get over that, then I really like this trade to the upside. All right. Now, when I say that, please understand if I'm taking that trade, right? If it breaks and closes underneath the 9 hour or the 4 hour 9, then I'm going to get out of the trade. All right. This is just intraday. When I say focus trades, we're just talking intraday, especially if we're trading to the upside and the market is moving down. Okay. So that's ZM. And over here on DocU, we're at about 230 by 231. Basically, we are stuck between the accelerator and decel. All right. And as long as price stays in there, I'm looking for moves into 250, 264, and 278. The hardest thing about trading, especially with options and just your mental well-being, is time is the variable. All right, time is the variable. This means specifically that you can be right on a trade and be completely wrong when buying options or your shares. Because one, you're not mentally prepared for the trade, but the charts are going to do what the charts want to do. So it's really interesting when you look at a chart how many people are losing money, but it's still moving in the direction they wanted it to. Time is the variable. So you have to find your time frame. You have to have a plan around that time frame, and then you have to obey that plan. All right. All right. Do any of you guys, before we get, it's about 8:20, what would you like to look at? ZM was upgraded. Okay, cool. So we're going to watch ZM today. Over here, what I'm going to do is put ZM on the right, so don't forget about it. All right. And then we're going to come over here and let's see what you guys want. Okay. Yeah. It's always like that. It's always like that. You know, RJR says it's like we all want to buy things when they're cheaper, but when they actually come down there, we're hesitant to jump in. And I think that's very, very true. People have a really hard time. If trading was easy, everybody would do it, right? All right, so here's Netflix on a day like today. If we're talking weeklies, folks, you need to be looking at a smaller time frame. Don't be looking at a daily candle or even the 4 hours kind of a stretch. We only have Thursday and Friday if you're thinking of weeklies. But as far as the plan goes, you can see subdued here. I have a little channel underneath there. It's respecting that channel. Netflix is respecting the edges, but this area right here, since it's double stacked, we're going to take that, and this is a neutral. All right. So just like I was showing you on ZM over here, we're coming close into resistance. We need to break above 546 and a quarter. So what you could do is create an alert there. Okay. And this one worked out really well yesterday. So as soon as it broke, this was our focus trade. We broke out of the neutral and we hit 23.6 and got really close to 38.2. This trade was a lot like NIO working out. But today, again, it just comes back right into the rail here and you can see it needs above 546. Now, Netflix is the pop and drop king. I've been saying this for years. It's one of the hardest stocks to trade if you're trying to intraday trade it. You just need to be prepared. They tend to pop it and then they drop it. Then it's sideways and you just got to be patient. I personally like Netflix if you're a good trader on the intraday, as far as scalping, you're focused, you're ready to go. I teach you that methodology here. So again, above 546 and a quarter, can be looking to take a scalp trade, tighten up that time frame, and as long as we're staying above that 9 EMA, looks like a nice trade. All right, let's go down here. Let's look at Roku. All right, yeah. So if you notice, again, I'm not big into shapes and I'm not here to claim that I know exactly, I'm just not into shapes. But I can recognize them. They might not be by book, but you can see here, DC, right? You see that on a 4 hour? You got the 9 EMA up here as well. So if we can push over the edge, look for it to come into this 9 EMA right there. And you can see right here. And then perhaps, like I'm saying in the rest of the market, it could be a rejection point. Okay? Does that make sense? Looks like the middle finger, doesn't it? All right, so right now your risk to reward, we're looking at the edge down here, 224, let's just call it 225. And perhaps you can get a move into at or around 228. Yes, that's Aspen's bullish bark. She knows what's up. All right. The bigger move in this case, again, if it can hold over that, I'd be looking for 232, 236. All right. Far as buying the dip, if this were to break down, let's say it hits here and comes straight down. See this area right here on your 4 hour? I'd be paying attention to that. Okay. And that is at or near 215 to 214. Okay. And that's Roku. And then Disney, disappointing. So again, so let's just talk about this trade. This is actually my best trade of the week, I believe, as far as percentage gain. And it's also going to be my worst roll, just being honest. I got until next week. We'll see. All right. So this is what happens to traders. I love being transparent. I think one of the biggest the biggest misconception out there of somebody who's run an education service or a professional trader or even somebody on Wall Street is that we always win, right? And that's such BS, right? We lose too, just like anybody else. We have human emotions. And so what happens is I had a beautiful blueprint here. We bought like somewhere down here. We gapped up into my target. We all, had a party. We're all excited. And, that dopamine kicks in, it gets in your brain, and you're like, man, you know what? I made some pretty good money, but I want to make more, right? So what I did was I bought my edge up here and I bought a little bit more time, and this happened. So what happens is you take the bigger look and you're like, John, you were so right. And then it comes back down here and you're like, man, why did I buy this? Just don't be mad at yourself. I know why I bought it because I expected it to go back up into that supply area and test it. Okay, that's it. So for Disney, as far as this is concerned, let's see if we can get over that 127.07. All right. All right, let's go over here. All right, Jennifer asked a really good question. I knew somebody would. FSLY. Yesterday came right into one of our indicators. All right. Now here's the thing. All right. We need to pay attention to this because this could be an ACDC to the downside. And if it is, I really want to be a buyer down here. All right, Jennifer, you can see we have some inside and ups that are formed here. We have several edges pointing to here. So what we want to see here today, notice on the 4 hour, okay, nice little flag here that's breaking, okay, and I'm not going to try to make this thing pretty, but you can see right there. All right, so if we continue to make lower lows, what happens is that we break down into here around 81.93. And if we make lower lows under here, then the ACDC is reversed We're looking for this move down into 74. That's where I'd be a buyer. Now, if I'm looking for a possible bounce play, just simply make a line here, and we're going to trade, a shape. But you will not be the only one. All right, and when you're not the only one, it gets a little scary. Then everybody's thinking the same way, and they tend to rock you. So something like this. Okay. My point here, this is actually a really good lesson. Inside and down right here. So breakout of this line could get rejected very quick at 88.8. Let's go ahead and get started here. ES futures, boom. Let's get over here. 43 points down. We're still hanging there. We are definitely going to the PMZ. All right, let's see what this PMZ looks like. It's showing me a risk of 3.35 points. If I can find it, sorry. Where are you, baby? On a positive note, TOS is not broken down, right? It's still working. So this must have been planned, right? I feel like it's when volatility, you know. All right. So what we want to see if the bulls really want to take this and try to hit those EMAs up there, it'll break out above the PMZ. Okay. As you can see, lower low. See if it gets down to the green box. 34.24. And let's see. What do you want to do, man? What do you want to do? All right, there goes ZM above. Okay, the edge. Notice it didn't take out my 509.26. Ba-dum. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. All right, so far ZM working above the edge here. I want to see how we're about to break out over the PMZ. This is usually a counter trend trade, so I'm really interested to see if the ES breaks over the PMZ, if this actually starts to break down. Let's just watch here for a second. Now, obviously, we could get started here and then add above that 520 level. All right, and I'm trying to get my stuff ready there. The targets, 516, 62, which I think we already hit, and then 520. Actually, I'm going to bring this down, folks. About right there. 519.75. Right. Yes, going a bit above the line or the PMZ here. I'm going to take this and I want to bring you guys to the 1 hour. All right. Okay, just like that. All right. Pay attention to this 1 hour and 30-minute 9 EMA. Let's go to 30. There it is. Remember, that 30 has really been respected here recently. Okay, tapping it right now. I already noticed that it tapped it. It's having a hard time. They were right here, Raul. 542, 555. These guys have earnings soon. There it is. 12/3. That's not that soon. All right, so short term, you just hit your target up there on CM 519.76. Yeah, AMD looking pretty good. I'm gonna come over here. Very strong right out the D cell. So we went over that as well. As long as it can hold in between here, I like it. Everything on our swings are actually looking pretty decent here. I mean, Apple's down, but not too concerned. Um, Look at Facebook really quick. All right. And down 4 there. Again, we need to hold in here by the end of the week. All right, looking at possibly taking some Apple here in a few seconds. We'll see on equity, and then ZM. I want to see if it can get over that first target that I gave you guys there.